Hey guys, and welcome back to Schneid's 15. Today we got the 95 and the 97 in the garage. We're going to be going over the differences of cooling them today. There's two different methods, and I'm going to show the reasons why Suzuki put these on, how they work, and just what are the differences between the two. It worked out that one has the optional cooling fan and one does not. So I'm going to show the differences. I've had a lot of people ask about them, so we'll go over it in a quick video and show you guys the differences and why it was required. Alright, so we're going to start off with the 97 and start off with the basic factory options that come on these bikes, and I'll show you where they're located. Alright, so on the right side of the bike here, by your cylinder head, we'll light this up. You're going to have one line right here. This line goes to your cooler up front. Down here, we have another line that goes across right there, and it goes up front also. Come around the front here, and get underneath here. We have a rad right there. So, you can see it. Your oil goes through there and goes back to your engine, and that is how your engine is cooled by airflow, and that is hence why it is mounted to the front. That it is incorrect on this bike actually, and I'll tell you why here in a second, but that's the factory setup, is that they come up to the front here and then go to the back, and that's how your ATV gets cooled. So why is it incorrect? It's incorrect because this thing has a winch mounted on it. If you have a winch or a snowplow on these bikes, you are automatically supposed to get the optional cooling fan that comes on these ATVs from factory. So I'm thinking that this winch mount was added after factory. And the reason why is because your winch or your cooling system is mounted back there where I'm shining my light. That's behind this winch assembly and bumper. So it doesn't get really good airflow there, guys. So it restricts the cooling on these, and that's why they require the optional cooling fan, and I'll explain how that works now, the optional cooling fan. So the optional cooling fan worked with, it had a thermocouple on it, and obviously 12-volt power going to it, and when the engine would reach a desired temperature, I'm not sure what temperature that is, the thermocouple would trigger the fan to come on, and it would blow on the head of the ATV. Most of these messed up over the years, guys, so they were probably just converted to just a switch that you had to manually turn on and off, and that's alright too. We'll get to looking at the 95. It actually has a setup from factory with it, and we'll show you what it looks like, and then we'll go between the two and show the differences. So on the 95, this one has the optional cooling fan, and it has the option, the rod relocated, because if you had a cooling fan, they relocated them there. So I find this funny because when I bought this, it had no winch mount on it, everything was factory, and it had no plow bracket on it. So I'm thinking this thing never plowed or had a winch on it. It came from farm country, so it was probably never mudded a lot and never needed that stuff. So we're going to show you what that looks like now to have the factory mounted fan. So if you look under here, there's no fan in there. That, or no rad I should say. The rad's usually sitting right there. So you don't need the rad up there because you got a fan to blow on the rad. So what they did was they shortened the oil lines and they put a fan up in here. This is not the factory fan, it is an aftermarket fan, but it is in the correct location and everything. The factory fans were all shielded differently and stuff, I believe. But as you can see, these are different mounts too and stuff, but your oil lines run up to here, and on the back here, see right between my fan there and right there, that's your rad. So instead of having it mounted on the front to be cooled with air, it's mounted in there for your fan to come on. So normally through a bunch of wiring and a thermocouple, that fan would come on and off automatically and keep your engine cool. But when I got it, everything was altered and gutted, so I never have seen one of these with a proper setup. I would say the majority of them come without a fan, but all mine is set up with is just a simple switch here. It came with it. You just hit it and it comes on, and that blows on your head and it blows on your rod. So this in here is good air, and it's sucking through the rod here to keep it cool. Alright guys, so now we know the differences between the two. You either have your rod up front and it gets cooled by air, obviously. Obviously you can't have that, or you're not supposed to have that, because if you have a winch on, or you're not supposed to have it if you have a winch, you're not, because it restricts the airflow to there, and therefore you're not going to get good cooling. Same with the snowplow. And I wouldn't say the snowplow so much because it is a lot lower than that rod, but the snowplow really makes these things work hard, and that's probably why they had the provisions that you had to put on the rod from factory. Relocate it to the back, or it would come like that from factory with the optional fan. So getting down to what I like better, for working on these things, I like the gray, or the brown, gray, whatever this color is. I like that one better because your rod's up front, you got no fan in the way, so whenever you do work to the motor, like a valve adjustment, valve cover off, any work to it, you always have to remove on the blue one, you have to remove that fan, remove the rod, get it to the side. It's always a pain in the ass. So for working, I like this one better, but for actual heating, guys, I've driven both these in the summer when it's really hot, and never really working them too hard. I mean, there's been some heavy pulling and stuff, but never anything really too bad. But I've worked them probably to the max that you can. I mean, I'm not pulling a 30-foot tree out of the woods for an hour or whatever, but I've worked them hard. And I have to say, on the blue one, I actually used this blade once to move gravel down our driveway. I strapped back the springs on it and I pushed it down the driveway. It worked really good actually, but the only thing is it did get a bit warm, so I manually switched on that switch, and that's the only time I ever really used it. So even with it, you get a lot of airflow going through the chassis that you do find that that rod back there will cool without the fan on. So if you have a factory thermocouple setup, it would be cool to see. That one, you got to make sure you shut it off when you shut off the ATV, because it's just manually 12 volts on, 12 volts off, not switched by ignition. So that's really the only difference between the two, guys. But I just thought I'd make this short video because I have so many questions on the rods if they're filled with coolant oil. So now I think I've went over everything, that they're oil cooled ATVs. It cools the oil, circulates it through the engine to cool it, and that's the differences of the factory setups. Is one was in front of the head and one was at the front for air cooling. And I'll show you right here, I actually have the factory stickers on the 97 still showing that you actually had to have that from factory. There's a warning label, so I'll show that now. Alright, so there's our factory advertisements from 1997 right here. Optional cooling fan must be used with all winch and or snowplow installations. So right there, guys, I'm thinking since this is on here is because they bought this aftermarket or not spec'd out with the ATV. I'm not sure if they could have came with them from factory or not, or if it was always a dealer installed thing, the bumper, and they had to alter the rod back here to behind. But anyways, there's just some information on the cooling systems on these Suzuki 8 King Quad ATVs.
As always guys, thanks for watching and please give the channel a like and a subscribe. If my videos interest you, please click on my channel and check out my other videos.